Yank me, Chief.
I'm not gonna lose her, too.
Oh, hello. Wonderful news. The installation is almost complete.
Terrific.
Yes, isn't it? I have begun my simulations. No promises, but initial results indicate this facility should be ready to fire in just a few more days.
We don't have a few more days.
But a premature firing will destroy the Ark.
Deal with it.
Will destroy this installation. Unacceptable! Unacceptable! Absolutely unacceptable! Protocol dictates action! I see now that helping you was wrong! You are the child of my makers, inheritor of all they left behind. You are Forerunner. But this ring is mine. I take no pleasure in doing what must be done. You do not deserve this ring. I have kept it safe. It belongs to me.
Not for long. Kick his ass.
My eye! Do you mean to blind me? Damage! Damage! That hurt me, Cleaver!
I'm getting you out of here.
No, you're not. No, don't let her go. Don't ever let her go. Send me out with a bang.
Chief, I'm so sorry.
Yep, we're finally getting around to this old girl, the one who waited literal thousands of years for something to happen on Halo 4 and finally got the worst visitors imaginable. For all those of you viewers, I'll say that I don't hate 343 to the extent that I've seen her place on others' top 10 annoying characters videos, and I do think that it is a bit unfair against the character itself. My reasoning is that 343 Guilty Spark isn't being irritating and of some morbid humor she gets out of putting people in danger while whistling a jaunty tune. In the positive sense, she is a slave to her protocols. She has to protect the Halo installation from intruders trying to destroy it, she has to aid in the firing of the ring in case the Flood turn up, and when she doesn't have any direction in life, she wanders to seek others and educate them about the Halo devices and the Forerunners themselves. From the 3 games that have housed her, she's become a well-rounded character of her own, and yes, she is the bane of the player's existence due to the end of Halo 1, and especially here in her boss fight. This boss fight is par for the course with first-person shooters, and that's to say, half-baked at best. But as we've seen in the Black Ops 3 series, it's not an inherent issue to the genre. However, the laziness of the battle is the best reason why she makes second appearances on bad boss fight lists. All you have to do is level all your guns at her for a minute, dodge ridiculously simple laser attacks, and that spells the end for the last monitor in the galaxy. Getting Johnson killed doesn't seem like a fair trade-off for an intellectual semi-antagonist, but the stakes are high when the galaxy is on the line. After dealing with the loveliest of robots and a substandard spin-off in ODST, we finally get to the bookend game, Halo 3, End of a Trilogy. The game starts as you'd expect from that hackneyed cliffhanger that Halo 2 gave us with Master Chief defying the laws of physics to escape unharmed after jumping above the atmosphere, and following that up with a defiance of the law of space and time. Johnson happens to be the first one to find Master Chief after he crashed. So let me get this straight. Master Chief, who was teleported with the Prophet of Truth at the end of Halo 2, somehow crashed to Earth after Johnson, Keyes, and the Arbiter had returned from Halo 5 because they had to come back from space early to cash in their 2-for-1 coupons. Anyway, the plot doesn't give a shit about this, and neither do I. The group gets back together and begins working on a plan to defeat the Prophet of Truth and his brute army, who also somehow bullied the Grunts into working for them as slaves. That's the only reason I can think of for the Covenant Civil War enemies now inexplicably working together outside of a Rochambeau tournament set in the Game of Thrones. It's one of the signs that making this series a trilogy ended up just cutting the second story in half and locking each other in separate apartments. It could have ended up being one of the strongest early titles on the 360 if Bungie had just made it a 2-parter, but the status quo is God, so who am I to complain? Partways into finishing this fight, after we dealt with some brutes for a while, destroyed our secret hidden base, and finally obliterated a Scarab tank, because that's always up for a fun time, the end of Halo 2 decides to remind Master Chief and the Arbiter that it existed, and the Gravemind sends out a small contingency force on a Covenant cruiser to flood Earth. This amounts to nothing more than arbitrarily expanding the section and giving the elites and humans something to argue about, so they stay together, because the apocalypse happening outside just wasn't enough encouragement. After that pointless argument, Truth activates the thing that the Covenants were apparently digging for in ODST that opens a portal to something, presumably the Ark, but everyone treats it like it's the black hole from the end of Into the Wild Green Yonder, so we're just gonna have to take Truth's word for that apparently. Due to the end of the galaxy, no matter what, the crew jumps into the portal and ends up at the Ark because all the Forerunner Halo installations were built exactly the same. We immediately drop next to the cartographer to find the control room and stop Truth. Follow another montage of shooting at stuff on foot and shooting at stuff in the sky. We deactivate the barrier that Truth put around the control room, and because Gravemind doesn't let a joke just die, he throws some more flood garbage at the Ark and infests that too, because he's a littering dick. We escape, and the game gives us a Scorpion to play with when running to the Ark's controls, which is always a boatload of fun, or should I say, an Arkful. Master Chief then faces off against 2 Scarab tanks brought in by the Brutes, and because it takes 2 to tango, one of the best teams in gaming, Master Chief and the Arbiter, blast them to bits, and finally get to Truth's hideaway, which also happens to be the biggest building on the Ark. It's great to see them working together because they're equally strong personalities with the same cause, yet come from the most different sides of the galaxy's coin. Also helps that they're both incredibly well written, by the way. Unfortunately, we end up in the control room too late to stop Truth from using Johnson to fire the Ark, which gave Keyes the brilliant idea to pull the worst card of the whole deck and bash into the situation with a Pelican in one hand and a gun with 3 bullets in the other. The move would have been at the very least heartfelt if it didn't immediately fall apart when she arrived, but it did give Master Chief, the Arbiter, and the Gravemind the time needed to run down a hallway, so there's that at least. Yes, Gravemind decided to help the pair defeat Truth and stop the Ark for the same obvious reason that he helped both of them out when they were back on Halo 5, but I'm surprised that both of them accepted his help without looking to each other and saying, "Hey, isn't this the guy that tried to kill us an hour ago?" Too bad the Cortana hallucinations didn't have the time to explain how Mr. Shifty was going to betray us 5 minutes after we allied, but who am I to argue with the power of cliché? At this point, Halo 3 is feeling almost like a remake of Halo 1 instead of its own property, beyond out many of the early levels take cues from the corridors of the first foray into Halo 4. Here and now we're back on the Covenant cruiser, which has been fully flooded so that we can rescue what's left of Cortana and get smacked upside the head by constant flood enemies, and cutscenes reinforcing that Gravemind is an asshole with delusions of world domination. Some of these seem odd because I wouldn't think that the flood would have the ability to manipulate machinery, yet somehow the Gravemind is continuing to torture her. Thankfully, she doesn't break the screen screaming every 5 minutes, but could you at least have these things make some sort of sense so it doesn't sound like a bad LSD trip on the moon?
This is UNSCAI serial number CTN0452-9. I am a monument to all your sins.
After this entire bit, all I know is that the torture has sapped all of Cortana's self-worth, Gravemind's not telling us something, and my desk isn't made of chocolate pine cones. Now that we grabbed our AI buddy again and gotten a couple of warm fuzzies for the effort, we have the Index, and Halo 4 is still being rebuilt by the Ark because of reasons. Leaving High Charity's crash site and heading for Halo 4 are Master Chief, Cortana, and the Arbiter to put the Gravemind in his place. Seriously, he's on Halo 5 still. How the hell is he manipulating gravity from that distance to the point where he's tossing meteors at the new Halo 4? Does he have some hyper intelligence that only happens when he's littering? Yeah, as I've said, Bungie went all action movie with its trilogy ender and ends up having a lot of iffy continuity for doing so. Not huge plot holes like in ODST, but the scenes are pretty flimsy nonetheless. Thankfully, Bungie let us skip all the Forerunner building runs from Halo 1 and just set us right in front of Halo 4's control system with only randomly appearing Flood to stand in our way. Yeah, I can definitely see why this on Legendary would be hard to do to just taste that sweet 0G to win annual. Everyone gets to the control room and Johnson tells 343 Guilty Spark that her plan to get Halo 4 working is bunk, and then immediately killed for trying to destroy the Ark. Petty annoyance is petty, and we finish the job at the cost of Johnson. But since Johnson was just Halo's black guy character, no one's really bothered by the fact that he died. Cue the traditional Halo Warthog escape, and we end up on a good epilogue and another contrived reason why the Arbiter is on Earth, while Master Chief and Cortana are floating in space despite leaving on the same frigate. Apparently, half of the craft was teleported by the portal because of logic, and space, and video games. The decision from Bungie to slice the story of the hierarchs who sold the galaxy into 2 different games clearly shows what a bad idea that was, since Halo 3 is stretching itself much too hard. It's a game built on a story so flimsy that some of the bad editing of shots can utterly break the logic of anything happening here. The game barely spends any time on recapping events about why Truth is alone and why the elites are helping out the humans so newcomers are going to be alienated, and even then, what happens in the game seems like the scenarios are so easily taken from the other 2 Halo games. Despite those issues that the game has in keeping to itself, it makes up for it by conducting a great action game. The actions are fluid, the characters match perfectly with the situation, and even manages to tack on some lingering threads that add to the overarching story, and ultimately it serves its purpose for giving a wonderful ending to a cast of characters brought together by solving the apocalypse. Well then, now that the first Halo trilogy has come to a close, the next item in the Halo continuity is going to be another spin-off. A different genre game going by the title Halo Spartan Assault, and it seems to be coming from the same vein as Metal Gear Acid, so we'll see what Halo is planning to do with that, but until then I'll finish up my thoughts with numbers. And give y'all a victory for gamers. Thanks for watching.